Konnichiwa. I'm Dave.
Hola, I'm Chris.
And this
is Horror Happy Hour.
Most of Horror Happy Hour.
Most of Horror Happy Hour. Two members of Horror Happy Hour.
Yes, we're two of them.
We're not sitting in front of the duct tape newspaper and blood, mostly fake blood, as you may have noticed. We decided instead to sit in front of the movies.
Yeah, changing it up a little bit for you.
Spicy chicken nuggets.
Spicy chicken nuggets. Interesting. So today we're going to be reviewing The Super.
Yes, not the 1991 comedy starring Joe Pesci. For all three fans of that movie.
You know, this was the much better 2010 horror movie, The Super, which Dave and I got to see twice. And first time we really enjoyed it, and the second time we fucking loved it, so...
One of the better movies of 2010.
Oh, hell yeah.
Spirit of independent horror movies.
Most definitely.
Everybody's all like, oh, House of the Devil, House of the Devil, House of the Devil. This was... They should be like, oh, The Super.
This had more than just a halfway good payoff. This was good straight through.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, it was entertaining all the way through.
Yes.
All kinds of sick shit. Every scene was entertaining. And you know how most movies have like 2 or 3 or like, you know, a handful of like really memorable scenes? This movie had about like 20.
Yeah. I was extremely entertained.
Very entertained by this. It has, anyway, The Super, starring Manouche, Rain Brown,
Ruby LaRocca.
Ruby LaRocca, Edgar Moy, Dimitri Callis. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his last name. That's a shot in the dark. But
he was The Super.
He was The Super. He was the movie.
It's written and directed by?
Written and directed by Brian Weaver and Evan Macrogianni.
Who also did The Turnpike Killer, which we reviewed and we really liked. Yeah. You should definitely... Their stuff is really good.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely
better with each step.
Yes, absolutely.
Better with each step of the way.
So,
Super is about... George is superintendent of a building, as you can guess, probably by the title. He inherited from his family or his wife's family. I'm not sure. I may have been intoxicated during the first viewing of this stuff, like when he does creepy crawls. I guess that's what they call it, because he has the keys to the apartments, which means he goes around in there and, like, you know, messes with your toothbrush, puts a toothbrush in your mouth, and
goes through your shit.
Yeah, either pees or jizmates into your sock drawers or your ice cream. Yeah. I was never 100% sure whether it was definitely fluid coming from his penis and going into like these things. I was never 100% sure like which fluid.
Fluid.
He was definitely enjoying himself every step of the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anytime he has any sort of, I'm sorry to keep cutting you off like that. I'm being such a dick and shit like that. I just have so much I have to get out and shit. Let me just get it out.
Right.
Let me just talk about the plot for just 1 second.
Okay.
And anytime he has any sort of confrontation with screaming children like this, anytime he has any sort of confrontation with any sort of the tenants, whether they be good situations or bad situations, he goes into his basement to vent. Whether he's like, oh, you're such a whore, I give you the sausage, or so, you know, he goes into shit like that, or goes into the basement where he gets like really like has like, you know, where they don't want to take the Christmas tree and he throws the Christmas tree down the stairs and whatnot. And
yeah.
This takes place during Christmas time. And
around Christmas time.
Yes. And this building and all the areas around it are host to like a whole bevy of wild ass characters with wild dialogue. Franny the Tranny, Frankie Feeds, like the most crooked cop like ever, and absolutely wild stuff.
He also just didn't like go into their apartments. He would sometimes watch them when they were home, which is extra creepy.
Yeah.
So but he was like a really nice guy. Like he was nice to all the tenants. It was
really
like once they disrespected him in some way or didn't follow like I guess what he found to be like the moral code, or weren't like a Vietnam vet or in the military somehow or related to someone, he like would snap on him like.
Yeah,
you know,
not on them at first.
Yeah, at first he would go and vent, and then
up until this Russian
up until Manouche
dominatrix played by Manouche. Olga
helped him out in a situation where one guy who caught him kind of creepy crawling was beating him up, and she came and she like knocked the guy out, and from there she turned his whole venting in the basement into like kind of like a violent, more like way more violent
snuff film mode.
Yeah,
totally snuff film.
Which was fucking awesome.
taking out people's eyes, cutting up intestines. There's like a forced necrophilia scene.
Yeah.
There's a scene where like some chick gets her like face stuffed in the toilet. There's like a memorable Christmas. There are so many memorable scenes in this movie. It's fucking ridiculous.
This was like, I don't know, it's definitely a good one to watch around the holidays and a nice Christmas theme to it.
How dare you put so many memorable scenes in a movie? How dare you?
New way of venting. But now on the other token, his wife, who has always kind of acted as his conscience and telling him, you know, constantly calling him on his little radio saying, come home, spend time with your family. Man, I want a man that spends time with his family. You know, she was acting as a means to keep him out of trouble. Now, because he has this new, like, violent path he's taking, she starts telling him, yeah, all these people walk all over you. You know, everything's negative now.
Yeah.
So, that played in a lot to what was going on. And the kind of sort of twist.
That is where that's where
to.
everything turned.
Yeah.
That's where everything turned from just like, you know, regular creepiness into the violence. That's when it goes from creepy to violent. And yeah, it does have like everything, all this craziness with all these crazy characters and all this nutty dialogue and all these different scenes. It all culminates in the end, like one like cascading, like one right after another. Which, by the way, is my new term, cascading. One scene cascading after another, and this mind-blowing ending.
Yeah, but like I said, everything from beginning to end is really awesome. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't let up. Like, it doesn't really stop.
And even at one point when Andre Eisgenow, the guy who did Philosophy of a Night, Visions of Suffering, Nails, I don't know if he directed this other segment, I think he did, but all of a sudden, like, when it goes into Olga's past at one point, all of a sudden he, like, directed this, and it goes into, like, you know, the father raping her and whatnot. I think he directed it and started it.
Yeah. But
so even at one point, all of a sudden, they throw that at you.
Yeah. There's a lot of good transitioning with scene to scenes, too, and the music that went along with it was spectacular.
The scores were great.
So they did a really good job putting everything together as a whole.
Yes.
And, I personally love the fact that, like, this was, like, based in New York, and they did a really freaking awesome job at keeping the vibe of New York going. Like, with the weird, elongated nicknames, like Frankie the Feet and Franny the Tranny.
Yeah,
like,
very thick accents.
Everybody's got thick accents. And the fact that, like, you know, like, there was so many different kinds of people. Yeah. Because that's what New York is. We're just...
every culture in the world smashed together.
Sandwiching together, you know, forced to get along or forced, you know, whatever.
Like, even right from the beginning of this movie, they even sucker punch you and whatnot, because the horror star that I thought was going to be in it was just in it for one scene. I mean, don't get me wrong, she shows up later on.
Yeah.
But, just sucker punches you right at the beginning, like another movie we know of, but I'm not going to bring up because I know, like, one of the directors doesn't like that movie, but,
But, like, everything about it was very... It just didn't... It didn't really stop being good. And like Dave said, it had so many memorable moments to it.
Yeah, it never stopped being entertaining.
Yeah. And like, fucking George is fantastic. They need to start making, like, George t-shirts.
That's absolutely crazy. No, this is... To me, this is independent brilliance.
Yeah.
And then, like, I know someone's knocking at the door and, like, tradition of that. Yeah. Like, I put it, like, on the same kind of, like, independent, brilliant level as that.
And everybody, like, I don't know. I thought all the acting was really good. Everything...
It felt like, they know the old, I hate using the term grindhouse, it's so ridiculous, I wish they would come up with a new term, but it felt like shades of, like, William Lustig, Abel Ferrara's, like, the bad, what was it called? Bad Lieutenant? Something? I think that's what it was called. Movies like that, Maniac, kind of, like, all together in one great package.
Yeah. So like we said, these guys are definitely doing very good for the independent film community, because... everything they're making is good, and
yes,
they're not like chinsing out. Like, I wouldn't say this was the most gore-filled movie ever, but it did have gore, and the gore it had was good. They didn't like...
It comes more towards the latter. Yeah. Like, it starts off like really creepy, and like I said, goes into the gore. Yeah,
it's not, it's not a gore fest, but it was very entertaining, and it has so much rewatchability.
Yes, very rewatchable.
Yeah.
Super. Like, the first time I watched it, I like really liked it. And, like, the second time, it like charmed the living hell out of me.
Yeah. I like the fact that it's like each time I watch it, I kind of see, I like, it's not that you miss things, but then you like start to see like tie-ins to other things. You're like, so that was about.
There was like one character and whatnot who was like, was always present and whatnot, but you were never like fully aware. I say whatnot a lot. We were never fully aware of, but the second time, all of a sudden you saw it, you go, the second time around. Like, it's like one of those things. So it's very rewatchable. There's just so many great things going on with this one.
So when this like comes out in DVD, you really should get on getting this.
Yeah, definitely pick it up.
I would give it a 9 out of 10. I don't know what Dave's gonna give it, but...
I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I felt like, I don't know why, I guess it kind of went with the whole, like, ticked off trannies with knives, House of the Devil, like, that whole nostalgic throwback to that era, so the sound was, like, a little bit off, and I know it goes with that era, and I know it's, like, great movies like Hanger and shit like that, and they all have, like, that sound problem, because that was, like, a thing at the time. But just for whatever reason, it just, yeah, I don't know. It bothers me for whatever reason.
I don't know. I find myself wanting to.
I loved it. But that's why I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
I find myself like.
I want to get 8.5. Am I allowed to get 0.5s?
Sure, Dave.
Can I cut you off? Can I cut you off a few more times?
I'm not allowed to speak, but if I was, I would say that like I'm giving it a 9 on the fact that like I would watch it again and again, and it probably won't get boring to me. So that's where my 9 is coming from. And like all of a sudden, Dave's allowed to give things 0.5 now. So.
No, I'm not. Okay, I can't do a 0.5. I'm sorry. Jesus. I can't give it 0.5 now. Yeah, 8 out of 10.
So with that, definitely be sure to accept Christmas trees given to you by your landlord or super because he might fucking kill you. And
He might dress up as like some sort of war thing, hide behind your tree, make pretend he's a cat, and then beat the shit out of you with a belt in your bathroom.
And neuter and spay all the tenants in your building so that they don't wind up doing crazy shit to you also.
Yes.
And with that, we're Horror Happy Hour, and we really think you need to go out and buy this film when it comes out.
Yes, definitely pick this motherfucker up.
Yeah, absolutely. Adios.